everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Tagging with Egypt. Today I am so excited because we have a very special guest. We have a GLOW champion. Today on the line with us is none other than Americana. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, little Egypt, how are you?
Good. Oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. And it's I have to tell you, and I'd like to kind of take a step back and go through kind of your backstory a little bit. But as someone who came in at the end of the first season and you had already been a GLOW champion, I was just in such awe of you. I was like, I want to be Americana. I mean, that whole character and and the way you portrayed yourself was still an inspiration, and that's why you're still a role model today for so many young workers getting in the industry. What is your story? You were in San Diego when the casting call came out, so let's go from that point.
Okay, well, I had actually just left San Diego and moved up to Los Angeles. I was down in San Diego. I had a Bachelor of Fine Arts scholarship to USIU down there. And during that time there, during my second year at USIU, I had auditioned for NYU Tisch School of the Arts, and I actually got accepted. So I thought, all right, this is awesome. Before I head out east to finish my final 2 years of school in their BFA program, I wanted to go to Los Angeles and spend the summer there and just see if I could pick up some odds and ends, type of acting jobs. So I moved up to LA, actually got on a game show, Press Your Luck, won
Oh,
$19,000, which was awesome.
that's amazing.
Total starving artist. Very, very humble beginnings. So believe you me, that 19 grand was going to be immensely helpful. And I do the audition. But what was interesting for me was I had just finished 2 semesters of stunt training down in San Diego. Believe it or not, you actually get school credit, college credit for doing stunt classes if you're in a Bachelor of Fine Arts program. So I was already, doing dive rolls and a handful of stunts. I was able to jump over pianos and toss people around quite a bit.
Wow.
So for me, even though the idea of doing a wrestling show, wasn't really at the top of my list, I thought, all right, I'm 19 years old. I want to, experience a couple of different opportunities and take advantage of them. Why not? Who the pilot? Oh, it's probably not even going to go anywhere. I'm just going to do this, and then I'll go to school in September. And we all know what happened from there.
Yeah, so you come, you're training, you're one of the original girls that was actually trained by Mondo Guerrero, which
It was.
a legend in the wrestling industry. So your skill sets and what you were bringing to the table, what you were bringing to Las Vegas was incredible. And because Mondo didn't follow the girls to Las Vegas, you rose up along with Royal Hawaiian, right? And trained the girls for season 1 and going into the beginning of season 2. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, and that was something we didn't even really know that was in the cards by any means. But again, just because of my background, I think I had maybe a little bit of an easier time than some of the other gals at first. So many of them ultimately far surpassed me later on. But in the beginning, it was fairly easy for me. So David McLane and Matt offered myself and Royal Hawaiian the position of being the, gosh, it's taboo to even say it, but being the choreographers.
Yeah, it's outed now. So I think we're good thanks to Vince McMahon who helped bring that out into the open. But so you and Royal Hawaiian work as a team to train these girls.
Yeah.
You moved to the Riviera Hotel. What was that like?
Oh my gosh, that was an experience in itself. Again, 19 years old, living in LA, heading off in a few months. I'm thinking, to go to New York. The world was my oyster, just young, energetic, so much enthusiasm and excitement for what was to come. So now faced with, okay, there's your hotel room, there's all your meals, everything's paid for, you're hanging with girls that you really, really are enjoying, being around. And all of a sudden, you're kind of beginning to get this feeling like, maybe we've got something here. There might actually be something kind of special with this. So it was a tremendously exciting time. And the funny thing was, not only were Royal Hawaiian and I the trainers, but we were also roommates. She was my first roommate there. And we had this gorgeous view overlooking the big sign, the big Riviera sign at the front of the hotel that had, you remember the old Splash logo?
Yeah.
That shows Splash that we all saw a gazillion times because, again, that was one of the perks of living there. We always got to go to all these shows for free, which was kind of cool. So anyhow, secretly Royal Hawaiian and I, good girls, bad girls, are living together at the hotel. And I just thought that was a hoot in itself. And all the friends that would come and visit and crash in the room, everybody brings their friends, from back home. I remember one time my mother came out. She was only supposed to come out for a couple of weeks. She ended up staying, I think, 6 or 8 weeks. And David and Matt actually wrote it into the production budget.
Oh, that's so nice.
Saying this to bring my parents out. And I think the original plan was maybe to have my mom doing something in the background, but I don't know. Maybe she was too busy playing slots or something. They never ended up doing it. But Royal Hawaiian's mother, I remember her being out there and crashing in the room with us for a while. So it was definitely in a nice way a party central, kind of. Our parties consisted of playing Monopoly and Family Feud with maybe one beer,
Because you're a good girl, that's why.
Hey, we were, many of us were underage too.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I totally forgot. Not like you could go down and gamble when you got bored. That's right.
No, we did a little bit of that, and everybody kind of just turned the other way, and didn't.
Now, I remember those dang buffet tickets that we used to get. I mean, didn't you get tired of eating there? And what did you do? Did you start bringing your own food into your room? Or did you just use the buffet for 3 meals a day?
Kind of a combo of all of the above. Yeah, we kept going to the buffet. And yes, we started bringing food in from some grocery stores. However, I really remember just, rummaging through everything they had at the buffet and sticking it in our big bags, or in Ziploc bags, and carrying it upstairs. And that was kind of the way that we went grocery shopping to save a couple of bucks.
Well, and that makes all the sense in the world because there it was, fruits, veggies, everything. So here you are, you're training the girls, you and Royal Hawaiian, but then Royal Hawaiian leaves the show fairly early in the first season. Do you continue to train by yourself, or does someone step up at that time and finish the training before you stop?
That is a good question, and I would possibly even have to defer to the other girls because I don't remember. I think for a little while there, maybe I did a little bit, but if I'm remembering, I can't quite remember when Attaché came into our mix. But she was so good. She was definitely a talent, and she took risks, and she was just a strong little thing, but just really strong. And I kind of have some recollections of her helping some people out, but I don't know. We'll have to ask the other girls.
Well, it's funny because when my first day in the ring in front of the cameras, you were in a singles match with Attaché just before I came on with Chainsaw and Spike, and I was just so impressed with the quality of wrestling you and Attaché were doing, because Attaché's a fantastic wrestler. And she was my trainer, so it must have been at the end of season 1, because that's kind of when I started training with Attaché, and then Attaché ran all the way through season 2. Back to the GLOW days at the Riviera Hotel, I know that during season 2, that's when Trudy Adams came in as Amy the farmer's daughter. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know you guys roomed together, right?
We did, and Trudy and I ended up becoming very, very good friends, and she was just a doll, and she was the type of person. Trudy, of course, played Amy the farmer's daughter, and she fully embodied that name to a T. She could have just been happy living on a farm with just a whole bunch of animals, and it was, I can't think of a more perfect character for anyone. But anyhow, I don't know how this happened, but one day Trudy and I are out and we stop in a pet store and I fall in love with this little kitten and I'm holding it and she's over playing with some ferrets, some baby ferrets that they had just brought in. Before you knew it, I had adopted this little maybe 8-week-old kitten. She adopted the ferret and we're walking back down Las Vegas Boulevard with our new pets and we're taking them into our hotel room. And we had all of the pet accessories that were like lugged and, carrying down the boulevard and sneaking up into our room. Nobody said anything, and those are back in the days, now people walk in with their cute little dogs and in their big bags, and it's acceptable. Back then, trust me, if anyone really would have paid a little closer attention, someone would have said something like, yeah, we don't have pets here. And also, what is that thing in Trudy's bag?
One of the things that I was surprised at, because my relationship with David McLane was a little different than yours, because when I came into GLOW, I was really intimidated by Matt and David, even though he was so approachable and funny and charismatic. He seemed older than 28 to me. He seemed like, this is the guy that's signing the checks. So, I didn't want to overstep, but your relationship with David was more personal. You guys were really good friends.
David McLane, in my opinion, was the mastermind and the creator of GLOW. It would not be what it became without David McLane. And I say, give credit where credit is due. Unfortunately, whatever riff he ended up having with the people who ultimately really took his show away. That's kind of my personal view with that. I think that's just unfortunate. David was someone that was closer to all of our ages, and yes, he was the one, behind the scenes writing the check. You're right, he was very, very approachable, and he was like one of us, just a couple of years older. He was entirely different than the other people, the other production people, involved and director involved in our show. And I think David had one vision of the show, which he should have, of course, because it was his show, and others kind of went a whole different route, but that's another story. But David, I gravitated to him early on, and he and I ended up just having a really, really good friendship. And I would speak to him in private and know that a lot of things were held in confidence. And I know to this day that they were. And that was just the type of rapport that we had with each other. And I have to tell you, I saw him a couple of years ago. It had been a long time. But when the GLOW documentary and when you had reached out to everybody trying to just get us from all over the country, I believe it was you that gave me his email information, phone number, and he and I got on the phone, and the first thing, I said, McLane! He said, Americana! And it was like we just picked up from 25 years earlier. And ultimately, I was out doing some work in Las Vegas, and was doing some spokesperson work for Panasonic, and I got in touch with David, and my husband, Tom, and David and I all went to dinner, and we thought we were going to sit down for an hour. We ended up spending 5 hours nonstop, just catching up. I brought him a whole little photo album that I made him of all these old pictures of not only he and I, but just all the girls. He was really touched by that. And he said something interesting to me, because I didn't completely remember my departure and what went on with it, because it was just it was a really tough decision to be on a show, an ongoing show that's doing well, and to make that transition or make that decision that I was going to make a transition from doing a wrestling show just to moving back to LA and pursuing just the acting stuff. I tell you, I mean, you and everyone else, you know it. It's hard to walk away from something. You're on TV every week. You're getting a paycheck every week. it's not the exact kind of show you want to do, so you have to make that decision. Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? But I went to David in private, and I told him about my reservations, on all of this, and he just said, hey, I support you, whatever you decide to do, I totally understand. And he knew there were also some, backstories, going on of things that, I wasn't so thrilled with. But he and the girls, oh my gosh, like I've said before, sorority sisters.
Well, that explains why at the end of season 2, when David actually, split from GLOW, he took almost everybody with him, and it's not like he had to try. They wanted, they just, the energy David brought, and the fact that he was, one of us, instead of, we looked at him not as someone in production because we were in the ring with him. He was taking bumps if he had to, and no one worked the mic better than David. You had mentioned that when you were in Vegas, you were doing some spokesperson work, and now today, you represent several Fortune 500 companies. How did you go? Okay, because this is something that I really want to touch on, because there's a lot of people in the wrestling industry that don't realize that the skill sets that they have in the ring can play out in other arenas, that they can actually turn their skill sets into another viable career. Tell us how you did that.
Well, good point that you're making right there. And the skill set that you learn when you're in front of hundreds or thousands of people and you're presenting yourself, even if it's a character, a lot of that just is going to remain with you. It is the essence for many of us of who we truly are. And you get comfortable, being in front of people, and it's also an adrenaline rush. So I thought, okay, I need to figure out, how do I continue working as an actor? But I wanted to figure out, how do I actually make some good money with this? I'm going back to LA. If I'm lucky, I'm gonna be doing these day player parts. I didn't have my SAG card just yet. What am I gonna do to kind of supplement? And it took a handful of years to ultimately become a professional corporate spokesperson. But what had happened was I was with an agency that had hooked me up with a consumer electronics show, and they had sent out a script. The company booked me. They sent out a script. It was about 13 pages long. They asked me to memorize all of this, and I show up at rehearsal day, and they said, "Oh, no, Cindy, you are over in the home theater section. That's the wrong script we sent out to you 6 weeks ago." And I said, "Yeah, it's 13 pages." They said, "Well, yeah, can you be up and running? The next one we're giving you, it's only about 8 or 9 pages. Can you be up and running in about 2 hours?" I said, I can memorize pretty well, but that is really stretching it. Yeah. And thank gosh, they actually had an on-site director there that day, and he walks up to me, he opens up his case, and he said, "Cindy, welcome to the world of professional corporate spokesperson work. Here are your materials. Here is your ear prompter, here's the unit, that you use. Here's your pause mechanism. Put this here, that here, this here. If you start to fumble over all of your words, just cough a little bit. Wait a few minutes till you kind of recollect yourself."
Wow.
And start again, or continue on in the script where you left off.
And you did that, and you still do that to this day.
Still do that today. And not only have I done it nationally, but I've gone international as well. And a couple of years ago, I was in Dubai. And also, where else did we go? I've been in Vancouver, Germany, Leipzig, Germany. And I actually even threw a little bit of German into one of my scripts there, which everyone just cracked up. I'm sure it was just the world's most awful accent. You could see their faces just light up when all of a sudden I started speaking in German, and they actually kind of understood what I was talking about. It was for a...
a lot of people don't know this about you, and I think it's an amazing talent that you have. And this was before GLOW. You are an artist and a gallery showcased artist. Tell us about how art played a major role in your life growing up, and then how you're turning it into a viable business.
Yes, I will. I am. I had actually done art classes probably since the time I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. My mother was always really good about setting me up, like at the JCC, all my little art classes and ceramics classes, and she was always very encouraging about that. So I continued that really through my childhood and high school, college, into my adult life, and it wasn't until 5 or 6 years ago, my husband and I were redoing homes, and I needed some extra art in this one stairwell at the top of the stairs specifically, and I thought, oh, I just don't want to keep spending money to try to fill up this ginormous spot in this one particular home, so I'm just going to paint something. So Tom, my husband, comes home later on, and I've already got this painting. It was just a quickie. I have it up at the top of the stairs hanging up, and I didn't even have a car for some reason that day. And he comes home, he says, what is that? Where'd that come from? I said, well, I actually made that. I created that today. And he said, you are kidding me. And one thing led to another from there. And, he's out, running out to the car going, let's go buy you some more paint supplies. And some other realtors and people, had come by over the course of the next handful of months. And more people kept commenting and asking, where'd that come from? Wow, that looks original. Is it from an art show? What gallery is it from? And we just kept saying, well, it's mine. So that was kind of the catalyst at that time to say, you know what, there is a viable business here. I adore doing art. Anything arty, whether it's film, television, stage, being a spokesperson or being a creative person on canvas, I'm there. I am a happy person. If I can just do all of that all the time in my life, I am good to go. So I thought, all right, I kind of want to explore this art world. So it's kind of just taken on a life of its own. And my name in Italian, my name is Cynthia, is my legal name, and in Italian it's Cinzia. And I go my art under the name of Art by Cinzia.
Well, Cinzia, you just don't stop because you are just driven by your creativity and you're expressing it on a platform, you're expressing it through art, and now you're expressing it through food. And I had a chance to look at your website, blendedrecipes.com, and the way that you are going through your presentation and the way you explain these recipes, the style is so darn cute. I'm just totally in love with it. Explain to the viewers what you're doing and why you're sticking to vegan drinks.
Blendedrecipes.com is the site, and it's a 1950s retro look, and I know that's why it's so cute. And there's a couple of other gals on there with me as well, but I had the opportunity to launch it with 40 webisodes and recipes and they are vegan. And the reason that they're vegan, the people that put this together, they're all vegan friendly, and they really believe in promoting the vegan lifestyle.
Right. Well, the drinks itself, I was looking through your recipes and they look tasty. I mean, these are tried and true recipes, obviously, or you wouldn't post them. And the fact that there's 40, so you can you can go on your website and just pick the flavor of the day. I mean, you're probably blending morning, noon, and night. I mean, that's how I see this playing out for you. If you're not, I can just see you with a smoothie painting.
I have my whey protein powder that I add to all of my smoothies, myself personally at home when I'm making my smoothies in the morning. And that's what gives me just a lot of my morning burst and energy throughout the day. They're so healthy. They're so good for you. But an interesting thing that I have to tell you that people, again, may not know, I know some of the fans know that I'm now doing blended recipes, but my son Ryan has an ad agency and production company up in San Francisco, and he was one of the creators, producers of blendedrecipes.com, and he was the one that came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in getting involved and doing it. And I tell you what, one of the most exciting things in the world for me was to actually be able to work with my kid, to work with my son Ryan on this. I adore him not only as my son, but as a creative force. He is a phenomenal human being, and there was just, it's in my top 10 moments in life to be able to actually work on this project with him. So looking forward to doing more with him and maybe some other future projects as well.
Oh, gosh. I mean, I think that's every parent's dream, is that they hope the best for their children and that their children end up doing something they love to do.
And I have to tell you, I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
If it's okay. Do we have a moment?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
terrific. Back to people like who start from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I want people to walk away and know that was my beginning. My parents didn't have a lot. They did the best they could, but I really kind of had to figure out from an early age what it is that I wanted to do in life and how I was going to make a living and the type of person that I wanted to be. And I came across a story years later. I was a bit of an Anthony Robbins advocate, proponent. I loved his motivational stories. I'd say he was the original life coach. Everyone walks around now, oh, I'm a life coach, or, I'm hiring a life coach. Truly, Anthony Robbins, he knew what that was and what that meant years before anybody else. But there was an interesting story that has always just really stuck with me. And that one is, he tells the story of two brothers whose father went to prison at an early age. The one brother followed in his father's footsteps and lived a life of crime, ultimately ended up in prison also. He says, what do you expect? Look at my father. Now the second brother becomes immensely successful, lives a good life, spreads goodness all over, and he too says, what do you expect? Look at my father. So go back to whatever hand you're dealt in life. As long as you change your perspective and you look at it, you don't have to be pigeonholed into thinking, I can't change my cards. My life is over. I'm doomed. I can't get a better job. I can't have a better relationship. I can't help my children anymore, than I've already helped them. The truth is that you really can. And I think also that belief that I've always had with all of that kind of has always resonated with me. And I have a feeling that maybe that was what David McLane saw in me way back when we were training and they were trying to identify who is going to be what character. And I think that was like the American dream, the hopefulness, the energy that anything is possible.
Wow. Americana, you are a living testimonial of everything that you represent. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this time, and I just know that there's someone out there that's going to hear this and a light bulb's going to go off. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you, sister. Mwah. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.